Alright guys, in this video, I'm going to give you a overview strategy for SEO for a family law firm. So whether you are a family law firm or you're doing SEO for a family law firm, in this video I'm going to go over the general process of how I would approach doing SEO for a family law firm and all the steps that you need to take in order to actually get the website to rank. So let's get straight into it. So firstly, the first step you would start with basically any SEO campaign is the keyword research. So the first thing you need to do is establish what keywords you're actually going after, what the main keywords are, and what the keyword difficulty of all the keywords are. You need to establish the topical clusters, and you need to establish the topics for any pages and blogs that you either have and or are going to need to make, and we're going to get into that later and how to do that. And you'll also need to establish any specific location pages that you're going to need to make. So that's obviously going to depend on what location they service. And I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, to do keyword research realistically for SEO, to do it properly, you're going to need a tool like SEMrush. I personally use SEMrush and I like it, which is why I recommend it. And I'm going to put my affiliate link below where you can get a 7-day free trial for SEMrush. However, a tool like Ahrefs or some of these other ones will also work as well. So if you've got already access to one of those, then that's perfectly fine. If you don't have one, then I would recommend you use the SEMrush, use my link, do the 7-day free trial. And I mean, in theory, you could do this process and then just cancel it if you don't need it after that. So what you would want to do is go into SEMrush and you want to type in the keyword that you think is going to be the main keyword. So I'm just going to pretend I'm doing family law for a law firm in Dallas. That's going to be the example for this case. This will work for whatever area you're in, but I'm just going to show you the process that you would go through regardless of where you are. So let's say I think that the main keyword is going to be family lawyer Dallas. Another thing I would probably recommend testing out is attorney if you're in America, because that's quite a commonly used term in America. So you would type in family attorney Dallas and then you'll see what it shows up. Now, the way you would establish the main keyword would be the one that has the most search volume. That's typically the one you want to go after. So in this case, it's family lawyer Dallas. You can see that here. It's got more searches than family law attorney or family attorney Dallas. So in this case, I would say that family lawyer is the main keyword. Now, family lawyer without the Dallas is technically the main keyword. We're putting Dallas here in to see the specific data for within Dallas. Because the problem with a lot of these tools is they're not that good location specific. So for instance, if I was to type in Dallas here and just type in family lawyer, the data can be hit or miss. So you can still use it to get a general idea, but typing the exact area will give you the best overall results. Because what's also going to happen is, I'm just going to go back here because this is taking ages to load. You can see here it gives you all the different variations of family lawyer Dallas. And so you want these as well because you're going to need these. Now, what I recommend you do from here is we've got the main keyword, which is family lawyer Dallas. Now what you need to do is see what other related keywords are being searched so that you can make pages and content on those keywords as well. So for that, what I recommend you do is open the keyword magic tool. And we'll open that up and see what it's got to say. I would also open up the keyword variations here. We'll just press that, let it open, and we can take a look at these two lists. So this is the keyword magic tool, and this is the variations. Now this is actually the same tool. The only difference here is that this is giving us broad match variations. And this one is as well. If we were to do related, this would be giving us the related keywords. So we can take a look at these two lists and get a general idea of what's being searched. Now you can see that the total volume of related keywords is about 44,000 searches a month, which is, you know, it's a lot. And for broad match for family lawyer Dallas is about 1,900. Now, if we go down the list, we can see here the different variations we have. So for instance, best family lawyer in Dallas, free consultation, family law order modification, family violence lawyer. So this could be a specific page. Let's see what else we got. Affordable. So that could be either a blog post topic or something like that. You just make a note of that for this point. Family court lawyer, that's a variation you'd want to use. Family violence lawyer, so that would probably be another page. We already had that up here. Looks like it's a specific attorney's name. Board certified, could be another variation you want to include. Cheap, if you want to do cheap. Continuous violence against the family lawyer Dallas. Not sure what the search intent on that one is. Now we've got car accident lawyer family members. This is now starting to get into something else if you do car accident law. We also got free, now immigration lawyers. So now we're starting to get into some things that don't necessarily matter. So not all of these are going to actually be relevant, but you want to go through the list and clear out the ones that are and the ones that are not. Now, what you can do is you can go and export this entire list as a CSV file or Excel file, and then you'll have that whole file as that you can go through and filter out, which I recommend you do. So what I typically do is I'll download the file and open it up, and then I'll start combining them all into one master keyword list. So you can see that right now we have this keyword list we've just downloaded. You can also go to the related keywords, as you can see here, and you could take this list as well. Always want to skim through the list first and just see what is on this list and make sure it's actually relevant. Now this one seems to be pretty good, just having a quick look. We can see that we've got even child custody lawyer, Dallas divorce attorneys, divorce attorney Dallas. So this will obviously be a topic that we're going to include within family law. We can also have a look, see what else there is. It's mainly divorce, child custody. Those are the three. So you got family law so far, child custody and divorce are the three main topics that we've got coming on for the keywords here. Okay, so we can also export this list and then put them all together. So I'm going to export this one. Okay, and we'll open that up. And so now what I typically do is I'll take the list, and most of the stuff you're not going to need, but what you will need is, you won't really need related. We'll be the judge of that. You'll typically need the volume, the keyword difficulty. The CPC you can use if you want to just see if people are bidding on the keywords, and typically speaking, the more they're bidding on them, the more relevant they are, but it's not that relevant for this particular use case. So what I usually do is remove these two columns, keep these. I might include this one, but for the sake of keeping things simple, I think I will just remove this one for now. And now we've got this list here of just keywords, as well as the volume and the keyword difficulty. So what you do is you take that, you take the other one as well. We'll enable this, and I'll just remove the same columns, and then we can copy this whole lot and paste it into one list. And then you'd want to go through this list and filter out the keywords that you're going to go after and which you're not. Like, for instance, you're probably not going to go after that one. You're probably not going to go after this one, etc. So you'd go through this list, clean it up, remove any duplicates, and then you would be left with your master keyword list. That is the main topics that you're going after. So basically, you would know what pages you'd need to make to address most of these keywords, because most of these are going to be commercial. So from there, you've got your main keywords that you're going to need to cover with pages. Now, there's two other things you're going to need, is the locations and the keywords for the topics you're going to make later, the content. So for instance, blogs, etc. So what you would do here is when it comes to the specific locations, SEMrush and these tools are usually not that good in terms of the volume. So for instance, if we were to go to Dallas and pick out a random suburb, let's say Garland, and then we type in like family law attorney Garland, you're probably not going to get a lot of volume most of the time. Now this one does, and so the note here is that usually you're going to see 0 or very low volume. However, a lot of the time these keywords can be worth going after for the sake of being very high intent and usually high converting. So what you would want to do is all the areas you want to service, you'd want to search them up here. You can go like as close as you want. So for instance, Rose Hill, we could technically type in Rose Hill and see if there's any volume. Now, even if this shows 0 volume, there may well still be volume. So it may well be worth making these pages. The way you would want to find this out, and this is what was my next point was going to be, is open Google. Typically, you want to open it in a private browser and just go to Google and type in the keyword that you want to actually target. So in this case, let's say it was use family attorney Garland, and we'll also do Rose Hill. Type it in and see what the results are. And if you find that most of the people ranking are specific pages, as you can see here, then typically you're going to need to do the same thing. So if we scroll down, all three are Garland, 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 Garland family law attorneys with a specific page, Garland. So in this case, you would want to make a Garland area page, as you can see here as well. Everything that is ranking for that keyword, which means making a Dallas page, like a general Dallas family attorney page, is not going to cut it. So that's how you would test this, and you could do the same thing with, I think it was Rose Hill. So these guys are ranking, but for child support specifically. Now, you can see here, for instance, we don't have Rose Hill specific pages ranking. Now, in theory, if you made the page Rose Hill, you might rank a lot faster. So that might be a thing you can do and test out, make the page and try and rank it for this keyword. Now, this could also mean it's because nobody's searching it. So you would, only real way to find that out would be make the page and see if you get any traffic. But the way you can see if it's worth doing is go there and see if other people are making those specific pages. Like with Garland, you would definitely want to make one for that. And make those pages to that level. So the last thing you would want to do is establish the keywords for blogs and content you're going to make afterwards. So in this case, because we're looking at such a local level, usually we're not going to get anything, but the best source to find these keywords is usually in this questions tab here. Now again, because we're so specific with Dallas, there's probably no Dallas specific questions being asked, although I find that unusual, but whatever, it seems to be showing that. What you would do is you go family attorney or family lawyer as the main nationwide keyword and see what questions are being asked there. And so typically speaking, that's a good way to find out what you need to write about. So for instance, here, what does a family law attorney do? What is a family attorney? And all these other questions we're going to see on this list in a second are good topics that you should cover for your blog. Now, not every single one of them, like for instance, how much does a family law attorney make? That's not necessarily going to help you in terms of a law firm's website offering their services. However, some of these do. Like how much does a family law attorney cost? That could be a blog. This one you probably would not do. There's a lot of these questions, as you can see, if you go down the list, they can come up. So you'd want to, again, filter through these and find the questions that are relevant. And you then make them specific to Dallas. And so then you would start writing about all these questions specific to Dallas, like how much does a family lawyer in Dallas cost, or in the specific area that you're targeting. And then as a result, you're making that content very specific to your area. So when people from there search it, it helps to establish your website in that particular area and is more relevant to them, so that they're more likely to convert. So now that we've got the list of keywords that we need to be targeting for the website, the next thing you want to be doing is looking at your competitors and seeing who you're actually up against. So what you need to look at is who's actually ranking for the main keywords. You need to take a look at their backlinks, referring domains, and authority score, and you just want to look at their website structure, pages, and blogs, which is also going to help you get more ideas for what you should be writing about as well, and how to structure your website and your pages. So to do that, what you would basically do is take your main keyword. You can go back to SEMrush or to Google, and you would take a look, let's say family lawyer Dallas, and SEMrush and most of these tools will give you the results for this keyword on Google. So you can see here, a lot of these are these aggregator websites like Justia and superlawyers.com, which are not necessarily law firms. What you want to look at if you're a law firm and your site's a law firm is typically what other law firms are doing. You can more or less ignore these for now and just go after the actual law firms. So these guys all look like law firms. So let's open them up and have a look at what they're doing. So this one's probably not a law firm, but let's take a look. Close that for now. And you can see here, Texas law firm. So these guys are ranking for the home page. And you can take a look at what they've done, how much content they have, what areas they're covering, etc. And it'll sort of give you an idea of what kind of competition you're up against and what you're going to need to do for your website. So you can have a brief look over their actual websites, just see what they've done. You can also take a look at what pages they have, etc. So for instance, you can see here they've got a ton of pages about all these different areas. So this is another way you can find out what areas you should cover. So any of these that you actually offer, you should be making pages as well. See what these guys have. So you can see they have a number of pages here as well about the different areas of family law, etc. And you'd go through and you'd check out all of these different competitors and see what they're ranking for. Now, the next thing you'd also want to do is have a look at all these websites, go into SEMrush and take a look at the actual websites themselves. So you would throw the website in, and this is going to tell you how powerful your competitors' websites are. You can take a look at their authority score, how many backlinks they have, how much traffic they're getting on average. So this can also give you an idea of what you can expect for your website, how much traffic you're going to get. So you can see these guys have an authority score of 28. They've got 15,000 backlinks from 454 unique websites. Now, that's not that high actually, which tells you that you can probably compete relatively easily in terms of the authority score anyway. However, that's not the only metric you want to look at, but it'll give you a general idea. Now, you would take the other ones as well. Let's see the next one. And if you go through them, you'll just have a basic idea of what you're up against here. So these guys don't rank for a lot. It's quite interesting, and a very low authority score. It's quite interesting that they were one of the top ones. So this is something you kind of want to pay attention to, because if they're ranking on page 1 and it's very low authority score and even the number of referring domains, then that means you could theoretically rank above them if you do more. So that's something to pay attention to. Now, the next thing you can do as well is take the website, go to Google, type in site, and then paste the website. And what this is going to do is it's going to tell you how many pages they have on their website. So this one's got 562 pages. And so that just gives you a general idea of the size of the website you're going to need to make in order to actually compete here as well. So if you take a look at all of them, let's say all the ones on page 1, these guys have 900 results. We already did them. Let's see this one. This is an interesting one. It's a lot less than the others, but 129. On average, you're going to need to make, at least a good few hundred pages in total, including your blogs and things like that, in order to stand a chance to rank, generally speaking. So that's now going to give us a good idea of what we're up against in terms of competitors. Now we can go to the next step, which is optimizing your actual website as well. So in this step, you basically need to go through the entire process of optimizing all the different steps of the actual website on page. So you would need to go through and basically optimize all of these things on each of the individual pages. You would need to make sure that the sitemap is done, the SSL certificate is done, the user experience is good, and I'm going to go over these in a bit of detail in a second, but this is the general list of what you need to do first off for on-page SEO. So let's take a look at an example, and I'll go over the examples with you. So if we open, I just close all of these, and we'll go to Google and find a family lawyer from like further down the pages, so that they're obviously not ranking on page 1. And I'll give you an example. Okay, so let's take a look at this one because it looks like they haven't optimized it. So basically, what you would need to do is the first thing is you'd want to take a look at the meta title, which is the title up here in the tab. And it's also the one that shows up in Google search results here. So that's the meta title. This is one of the 3 key pillars of SEO. That's why in this I've made this bold, because these 3 are the 3 key pillars of SEO that you need to get right in order to actually stand a chance of ranking. Now, if we take a look at this one, they have the keyword in here, but they've only got Dallas divorce attorneys and then nothing else. And this is kind of telling me that they probably don't have it done correctly on the other pages. So let's go with divorce and let's see. Yeah, so let's see on this one, they've only got the word divorce. They don't have like divorce attorney Dallas. Now, the problem is because on the home page they do, it might be a good thing in this case that they're not cannibalizing themselves. However, if we take a look at some of the other pages, let's see what they've got. Yeah, for the other pages, they've only got custody. They don't have child custody lawyer Dallas or anything like that, which would help them rank. So you need to go and make sure that you've got all the main keywords in each page that's unique to each page in the meta title. Now, the other thing you need to do is also in the H1 headline. So the H1 headline is typically this headline, the main headline on the page. Let's just take a look and see if this actually is on this one. Yes, it is. Now on the home page, I'm not sure they have one at all. So let's take a look because I'm not sure which one it would be. Yeah, they don't seem to have an H1 on this page. Let's have a look. Yeah, so they don't even have an H1 on the main first page, and that will explain why they're not ranking at all, or they're on page 5, and it's because of this. Like, this website's just not relevant enough without it. So you need to go through every page and make sure you optimize the H1 headline exactly the same like you would the meta title. You need to make sure that you have the exact keywords you want to rank for in the H1 headline on the page as well. So if it's divorce attorney Dallas, you'd want to make sure you have divorce attorneys Dallas in the H1 headline. Let's say child custody lawyer Dallas, whatever the keyword is for that particular page, you want to make sure that you have that in the H1 because that's the most important text on the page. And the third thing is the URL. So with the URL, what you want to make sure is that you have the keyword in some form in the URL, but you don't want to overdo it. So let's say, for instance, this one. The important thing to know about URLs is that that's the first thing Google actually reads before it gets on your website. It crawls the URL, sees what words are in it to try and determine what this page is about. Now, the issue you have here, for instance, is that this one, if you were to just take a look at this URL, let's open a notepad and we'll paste it and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If we did not know this was a law firm's website, and we just saw this URL, we don't know what this is about. You have no idea. We don't know what exactly it is. Is this lawyers? Is this something else? Is it an information page? What's the search intent? We don't know. And so the issue you have is that that's one of the reasons they're not ranking, because it's just not relevant. So in this case, to give you an example of what you would want, is because they don't have the word lawyer or attorney in the main URL, what you would need to do is include it here. So for instance, you would have child custody lawyer Dallas as the URL for this particular page, and that would make this page far more relevant for the keyword child custody lawyer Dallas than just having custody on there, because this now tells us exactly what this page is about. There's no mistaking what's going on here, whereas with just the one they had, which is custody, could be anything. And even the divorce page, like if we take the URL for divorce, this could be anything. Could just be information about divorce. It could be defining what the word divorce means. We have no idea. Whereas if this was divorce lawyer Dallas, now they've got the keywords in here, and this is telling Google immediately what this page is about. Now, if they had the word lawyers in here like this, then typically you would not want to do it twice, because now you're doubling up on the exact same keyword, and that's typically not good. So in that case, you could do something like divorce Dallas, and that would work in this particular case. Or you could do lawyers/divorce/Dallas, and that would also be another way you could structure the URLs. So those are some examples, but as you can see here, at least now we've got lawyers, divorce, Dallas, telling us more and telling Google more what this is about. It's much more relevant because now you've at least got lawyers, divorce, and the area in here. So it's more obvious what this is. But obviously the best option would be to have divorce lawyers Dallas as the page URL like that, because that's the most relevant. So that's how you need to optimize the URLs to make them as relevant as possible for the page as well, and across the whole website. Now, the next things you need to do is go make sure you have a sitemap and you submit that to Google Search Console. So basically, if you're using an SEO plugin like All-in-One SEO, Yoast, etc., they will have a sitemap. And usually you can find that by going to sitemap.xml, and it'll give you the sitemap. You can see here they're using Yoast. This whole sitemap is created automatically, and you would just take this and submit it in Google Search Console so that Google knows that this exists. It will crawl the sitemap and it will know where all the pages are, and that's just going to help get your website indexed faster. So you want to make sure that you actually have this. If you're not using a plugin or you're using a different CMS, not WordPress or whatever, you can go to Google and just get a free sitemap generator like this one. Typically this one's pretty good, but it only does up to 500 pages. You would paste the URL in and it would generate you a sitemap. It will give you the file when it's done. You download that file, you upload it to the root folder of the website, and then you submit it in Google Search Console, and that's the same process. So that's what you would do here for the sitemap. The next thing you want to do is the SSL certificate. So if we go back to this website, you can see here it's got HTTPS. You just want to make sure that that's active, and if you click this, you can see connection is secure. If it says connection not secure and it's running on HTTP, you want to fix that because this is actually a ranking factor for Google. And the other thing you want to do is make sure that the HTTP version is actually redirecting to the HTTPS version, as this one is as well, and then you're good to go. If you don't have an active SSL certificate, you want to go to your hosting provider or your domain provider and ask them to apply one on your website. That's all you need to do. Usually there's a free option with most hostings, and they'll just add it to the website, and then you should be good to go from there. Now, the next thing you want to take a look at generally on the website is user experience. So what that means is if we go back to this website, you want to make sure that the user experience on this website is good for the user. So in this case, they do have the menu up here. They've got all the items in the menu. If we land on the page, it does have the headline. Again, we could optimize these things, and when I go into conversion rate optimization a little bit later, we'll go into how to optimize all these things to increase conversion. But overall, the user experience here is okay. I mean, there's a form that's clear here, there's the information, etc., so that's right. If we go back to the home page, the thing I don't like about the home page is once you land here, this is the first thing you see, this particular banner, and it doesn't really tell us what this is. You'll probably get the idea that it's a law firm because you've searched for divorce lawyer or divorce attorney. However, the problem is it doesn't exactly say that, and then here it says divorce begins and ends with D+E. And the issue you have here is that I get what they're saying with this, but it's not necessarily helping the user in any way know that they've found their way to what they're looking for. And so it would be much better if they had a headline, which is the H1 headline, which by the way, this website so happens to be missing on the homepage, telling them that this is a divorce attorney law firm in Dallas. And that would be a much better for the user, because then they would know exactly where they are. People's patience and attention span is very, very low on the internet. And if they don't see exactly what they're looking for immediately, you've basically lost them in most cases. And so you need to make sure that they see exactly what they're looking for. So that could be improved in terms of user experience here. Also, these are not exactly clear that they're actually links. So I would maybe make that a bit clearer, honestly, or maybe make them boxes or something, just to make it clearer that that's links. Now we've got the team, which is okay, and then send a message as well, which is okay. This is too wide. It's not fitting in my screen properly. So that's another example. It's not good for the user experience as well. So that's something that would need to be fixed too. So those are a couple of minor things that you want to pay attention to just from a user's perspective. How easy is it for them to use the website and find what they're looking for? Other than that, it's relatively accessible to find all these different pages and so on. So that's good. There's no phone numbers or any contact details that are easy to find except for here, which is not even clickable. So that's pretty bad. And I'm going to go into that later in terms of conversion rate optimization, because that's a major thing that this this website could improve, but we'll go over that in a minute, a little bit later. The next thing you want to look at is the images and alt text. So what you want to make sure to do is that you don't have oversized images, and you want to make sure that each image has alt text. So if we open this image, you can see that the image is kind of large, but it's not that large. So that's okay. This one's probably okay. Ideally, you want to make sure that it's the same size as it's displaying so that the server doesn't have to resize the image, because that does take up a lot of space. I would argue that that's pretty negligible, and unless you've maxed out everything else in terms of speed, I wouldn't worry too much about it, as long as the image is not like 4,000 pixels wide and it's like 3 megabytes and it takes ages to load. So just make sure that your pictures are relatively small size. And what you want to do also is check the alt text. So you want to just go here, let's say we click on it, you can take a look here and see what the alt text is, and in this case it looks like they don't have alt text on the image, because it should be here where it doesn't seem to be. So basically you need to make sure that you have alt text in all of your images, because Google's actually reading the alt text now to classify what these images are and then rank them accordingly. And if you don't have it, it's not good for the SEO in general. So even if the image is not necessarily going to help you, it's still going to just make your website optimized overall and make an incremental difference that will help. So in this case, for instance, you could put an image alt text that describes this image. So you could put the lawyer's name in here and just, you know, say like Lisa Doofy, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then you could do like Dallas divorce attorney, and that would get the keyword in there as well as being appropriate to what the image actually is. And that will actually help with SEO in general on your site. The next thing you want to do is internal links. You want to make sure that you actually have internal links going between all of your different pages to the relevant pages, because internal links make a huge difference for SEO. So if we go to a page, let's say divorce, and we take a look at the content, we can see here that they don't actually have any links going from here to anywhere, and that's unfortunately a problem. So they have a child custody page, so this should be linking with the keyword custody or child custody ideally to that page. And if you have that all throughout your site consistently with the similar keyword variations going to the same pages, that's going to help Google to understand what each page is about due to the keywords in the link. And as a result, it's more likely to rank those pages. And it also helps to pass the relevance of backlinks around your website. So for instance, if you get a link to this specific page and then it doesn't link anywhere else, this is basically a dead end for the relevance of all the links. And that doesn't help your whole website. It only helps this particular page, and so it's a waste. Whereas if you're linking in between all of your pages correctly, what's going to happen is it's going to pass around some of that link relevance. It's going to help push up the whole website overall. There's so many reasons why you want internal linking to be done. That's why I highly recommend you do it. And unfortunately, these guys haven't done that either. So that would be another opportunity for them to optimize this site even further. Now, the last thing you want to do is optimize your current content. So for instance, H2's, word count, etc. So what I mean by that is, if we go back to that website, let's go to the divorce page. You can see here that they've only got that, which we've talked about for the H1. Then they've got a bit of content, and then they have no H2s or anything else on this page. If we go back to Google and we go divorce attorney Dallas and take a look at the first few results, we want to look at actual law firms. So these guys, what you will see is that you see they've got Dallas divorce lawyers. And then you can see they've got this content with sub-headlines. So if we inspect here, unfortunately, this isn't actually done properly. This should be an H2. So these guys could improve as well. Yeah, these guys could definitely improve as well. It's interesting that they're ranking with that. This must be a very powerful domain. But if we take a look at some of the other ones for a better example, you can see here, these guys, if we take a look at these subheadings, they got H2s with the variation of the keyword. Then they have divorce with children, H2, 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 etc. And so this is an example of having multiple headlines making the page more relevant. And if we go through this one, you see these guys have it as well, H2s, and much more content. And so just looking at this very quickly, you can see that the competitors on page one have a lot more content and a lot more of these sub-headlines making the content, you know, more relevant and more important than the one we just looked at originally, which was this one, which has very little content, no sub-headlines, nothing. And so this piece of content in this page stands very little chance to rank against these ones, which have all this good information and are much more relevant to the particular topic. So you would need to go through all of the pages that are on the site and optimize them accordingly, looking at what's on page one and going with that. So the other thing I mentioned is word count. You'd want to take a look at the average word count between all of these pages. You'd take them, so you'd go like this, copy the content, go to somewhere like wordcounter.net, and you paste it in here. You can see this one's got 740 words. If we take a look at the next one, this one's probably got a lot more. This one has 3,500. And if we take a look at these guys, have a lot less as well. Okay, no, they have some more. Okay, so you see they've got quite a lot more as well. Unfortunately, they haven't done the H2s correctly. They've got about 1,500. So you would go through and you take the average of all the ones ranking and then figure out what your word count needs to be. Typically speaking, you want to be somewhere in the range of the average word counts. Now, you can usually discount, like if that 3,500 one is the only one that's 3,500 and the rest, 1,500 or so, you can typically exclude the outliers and just look at the ones that are within the range and go with that. And then that's going to give you an idea of what you need to do on your actual content to optimize it. So you can see here that these guys have a lot of work to do on this page, and you can also see why they're not ranking. Now from here, you start going into conversion rate optimization. So all the on-page SEO has now been done, and the foundation of the website in terms of SEO is now optimized to actually start ranking. What you now would want to do is go in and optimize to increase the conversions. So there's a number of things here that will dictate the conversion rate. Buttons are a big one. So like if you're trying to get leads, which most law firms are, you want to make sure that you have clear buttons for calling you or filling out a form or contacting you, whatever other manner that you're doing. You want to have call to actions, which are usually the buttons, and you have other conversion factors as well, such as reviews and so on. And I'll show you what I mean by this. Let's go back to the examples we were looking at. So you can see this one here. This page is basically nothing. I mean, you can look at it just logically from a user's point of view. If you were looking for a divorce lawyer, would you contact this firm if you landed on this page? Unfortunately, the answer is probably no. I know I wouldn't. And there's a number of reasons for that. And the most obvious is that there's actually no contact details on this page at all. So even if I wanted to contact them, I now have to go out of my way to find how to contact them because they don't give it to me here. And that is a major issue. As soon as you make people work to try and do what you want them to do, which is usually contact you, they're not going to do it. And you're going to lose a large majority of your users. So if we take a look at a lot of these other guys that we were looking at, for instance, they've got a free consultation button up the top and that floats as well. So it's always there. I would argue that they should put some more in here as well, but that's my personal experience. But if we scroll down, they have, if you look at this page, they've got a lot of good information about divorces. They mention these. I don't particularly think that these will necessarily help conversions, but they do have client testimonials, which will help. Now, if you can make these Google feeds or something like that, they'll be even better because it's even more believable. And then they have down here, unfortunately, you can't see this color, but they do have a contact button. If it was a better button, it would be better. And you can see their information here. Now, I would make the phone number a lot bigger. I would make this button a lot bigger, and I would make sure they all go to the same place. In this case, they go to the contact page. Personally, I like to put all of the information on the specific page. So I don't know why people like sending them from this page to the contact page when you can embed a form right here. I would personally rather embed the form on this particular page. I think one of these other ones had it here. You can see these guys have a form here. And let's see if these guys, I think these guys had a form as well here as well. I prefer to do it this way because then the form is right there and they don't have to go to another page, wait for the page to load. Maybe it doesn't load. Maybe it gets lost in all their tabs or whatever. This way you give it to them right there and then there's no question of them being able to fill it out. Now, I would also put a button for the phone number because there are people that would rather just call immediately and get an answer rather than filling out the form. And the phone number is already here. So why not make it easy for the user? Make it a link that they can just click and then use it. Now, this might be a link on mobile. I am on desktop. However, it wouldn't hurt to put it here anyway. Maybe somebody's going to call from desktop using Skype or whatever program they have. I don't know. But you may as well do it. Like, it won't harm you to have that there. So I don't know why people don't do it, but that's what I would recommend. And I would recommend making it stand out more. So in this case, because they're using yellow as a call to action, I would recommend that they make this a yellow button as well. And then that would just make it more obvious that this is actually the actual button that they want you to press. Now, one other thing I would also recommend that most people don't realize is that you should make your call to actions only one color. So for instance, if on this one, this is a good example, everything is red here and they're using red a lot, I would not use red for the call to action because it just gets drowned out in the background with everything else. Like this whole section is red. And if you see a button that says contact us in red, and then you see this section is red, you think this is the contact area, but it isn't. So in this case, I would actually use this yellow, and I would have put this yellow button throughout this page as like contact us now, and then takes you down here to the contact section. Like I said, I would use it for the phone number as well. And I think that would make the CTAs stand out a lot more. And then as a result, people are more likely to see them and then more likely to click them. So that's what I'd recommend. And I would recommend putting the button throughout the content a lot more than what these guys have done, so that it's always in sight somewhere. Now, yes, you can argue this one up here is, but you're not going to harm anything by having a contact us button in the content, but you're only more likely to get people to actually click it. So that's another thing you should keep in mind for conversion rate optimization. Make sure the only thing that's in the color that the CTA buttons are is that and nothing else. Don't make everything else red or whatever color the CTA is. And the other thing is you want to make sure that it's clear what you want them to do. This page is a bit too busy. So for instance, there's a location here, there is a clickable phone number, but you got the location here, you got the map, you got the contact us, and it's at the top, which I'm actually not a fan of in this case, simply because I don't even know if I want to contact them yet. I haven't even seen what they're offering. So I don't particularly like this. I would have moved this down further, because I don't think somebody who just lands on this page is immediately going to fill out the form. That might happen, but it probably won't. They're more likely to probably read through all this content. So I'd rather give that to them at the end. And the other thing here as well is that at the bottom, instead of having a contact thing, they now have subscribe to our newsletter. So a person has landed on the website, started reading the content, and then by the time they get to the end, they're seeing subscribe to our newsletter instead of contact us. And I just think that's creating like a discrepancy between what you actually want them to do, because this thing is what stands out most on the page. But I'm assuming that this law firm actually wants leads more than they want newsletter subscribers. So I would argue that this should be here and in this standout color so that people can actually find it. And I think that would help their conversion rate as well. So that's a couple of things you can keep in mind to optimize your actual conversion rate to get more leads through the site. So now once that's done, the next thing you want to do is optimize the Google Business Profile. So with the Google Business Profile, basically you want to complete your profile and add all of the information that Google asks you to add. So you make sure that anything a potential client might want to see, you have that information there. So for instance, you got phone number, website, address, all of these details about your business, what you offer, things like that. Make sure to fill out all of that on the actual Google Business Profile and make sure it's up to date as well, especially things like open hours, because the last thing people want is to think you're open at a certain time and then you're not. That's incredibly frustrating. So make sure that you fill that out. Make sure you get high quality logos and images. So upload high quality images to it as well. Make it look really professional. And then you want to ask clients for reviews, because the two things that dictate the Google Business Profile the most are proximity to the user and reviews. So if you can max out those two, then you're more likely to get shown in the Google local results. And as a result, you can actually get the Google Business Profile ranking and then your website below it in the results ranking as well. So you'll show up twice. And then that's obviously more clicks for you, more potential leads, more people on your website. So that's what you want to do with the Google Business Profile. And then once you've got that completed, now you can start creating new content on the website. So if we use the keyword research we use at the beginning, we can get some content ideas. So for instance, those questions I mentioned, you would want to use those as potential blog ideas to write about. You can also create more pages as and when necessary about different areas you want to cover and things like that. Different practice areas, different services you want to offer. You can add more pages to the site too, and that's going to help. You can also use your competitor websites for content ideas. So if we take a look at some of these ones we opened previously, we could go to their blog and have a look at what they're writing about, and then that would give us some ideas about what we could write about as well. I'm assuming Learning Center is the blog on this one. Yeah, looks like it. So you can see what they're talking about, and then this can give you some ideas of maybe what you should be talking about as well. You can see here as well, they'll have a blog. So you can go through these different areas that they've been writing blogs about, and you can write about that as well. Another thing you could do theoretically is pull up their sitemap, or go on Google and type in their website and see what they've got. So here, for instance, you can see this XML sitemap. You can go through this and you can see all of the blogs that they've written, what the topics are. So if you pulled this whole sitemap, you could download this or copy and paste it, and then you'd have a list of all the different blog URLs that they have, which would give you an idea of all the topics they wrote about. Again, you could take their website as well, go into Google, go site and type this in, and then you would now see all of the different pages that they've written about and what their headlines are, etc. Give you some ideas of what they've actually got here. So that's how you can go through and get ideas from your competitors. Another thing you could do as well is actually go to ChatGPT and ask it for some ideas as well. So you could just simply open ChatGPT and just ask it for ideas. So go, we are a Dallas family law firm. Can you give me 10 content ideas for blogs we can write that would help us with SEO? And just see what ChatGPT gives you. And not everything it's going to spit out is going to be good, but if you ask the question in different ways, it will give you ideas that you can theoretically use to write blogs. So for instance here, understanding Texas family law, a comprehensive guide, navigating child custody in Dallas, what parents need to know, the process of divorce in Dallas, property division in Dallas and Texas divorces, alimony in Texas. Like, these are interesting ideas you could write blog posts about. And so you can go through and, use this. You can obviously go further with this and ask it for, 100 different ideas. Give me 90 more, and it will give you a whole bunch more than you can write about. You can go about a specific topic, child custody, things like that. You can see here it's going to now spit out 90 different things. So I'm going to stop it, but you get the idea. And so you can go through this and pull out the ones that you actually want to write about and then write about them on your blog. And so now you'll easily have hundreds of blog post ideas that you can write. If you couple this with the keyword research I showed you earlier, then you can start ranking for some seriously good keywords. Now, going back to the keyword research, what you could also do, like I said initially, is just type in family law in general, or let's go child custody, and see about child custody specifically. There's going to be a bunch of questions here about child custody. See, like what not to say in a child custody mediation. That would be a good blog. Who claims the child on taxes with 50-50 custody? How to get full custody of a child? All these things. You could write about all these things. You can make it specific to Dallas, obviously, to the law in Texas and things like that. But that's how you can get some more ideas as well and actually target specific keywords. And you can see here there's 8,300 different questions, and that's just about child custody alone. So you will not run out of topics for the blog anytime soon if you use these ideas. This is obviously going to be a continuous process, but this is how you would write the content. And the other thing you would want to do is start doing backlinking. So when it comes to backlinking, there's a couple of things you're going to need to do. So firstly, what you want to do is you want to start with citations. So citations are listings on various websites. There'll be law niche websites, there'll be business directories, things like that. You want to ensure that you get the website on these citations and ensure that your name, address, phone number, and website is consistent with the Google business profile, because that's going to help you rank in the local search results. So you could go through and list the website on all the different citations for lawyers, for businesses, etc. in the area. So what you could do is you could go to Google and type in Dallas business directories, and usually you can get lists. Or you can go through this and add it to these ones. So for instance, this one, this one, Dallas Business Directory, etc. You can add it. Usually there's lists, like you could go top 50, for instance, and then find lists of them as well. You could also go top 50 law firm directories and then start adding it to law firms. Now, some of these will be free and some of them will be paid. So it just depends on the specific one. If you want to pay for it, you can pay for it. If you don't, then you can just go for the free ones. Some of these will actually drive traffic to your site. Some of the more relevant, bigger ones. The lower ones probably won't, so it's usually not worth paying for it unless it's something serious, like maybe Justia or something like that. But for instance, these guys, see, they give you a list here of where you can actually list them. So if you go here, you'll probably find a list, I'm assuming. See here, they give you the list. So you've got this list of directories you can use. You could go and list your law firm on all of these, and that would help to just let Google know that it's a real business. The information is the same across all of the different profiles, etc. And it will help just get your website out there initially if you haven't done this. Now, a much easier way to go about doing this is to go to something like Authority Builders and just purchase a packet of citations from them. So they do it here, and I usually use these guys when I start doing it and want to list citations, because they're $1 a citation, so you may as well. You can order from exactly what country you want. You can pick how many you want. Typically speaking, like 50 will do for a local business. If you really want to do it, just go with 100. But that will usually be more than enough. It'll cost you $100, $1 a citation. You would just click that, fill out the information here about your business, and then they will go and make them on all of the important citations like Yelp and all these other ones that are actually relevant to your specific area as much as they can, and then that's going to help. So this is the quickest and fastest way to get citations made, because then you don't have to worry about doing it yourself because it can be a lengthy process. Then the next thing you want to do is make all the social media profiles. So if you've not made social media profiles already, you want to go and make them as well, because this just helps to establish to Google that this is actually a real business and it does actually exist. So you can go through and make all the different profiles like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and all these other ones. Or you can just go and hire somebody. So for instance, you can go on Upwork and you can type in social media profile creation, and you'll get like 50 for like 20 bucks. And then, you know, you can get to one of these and usually they'll do it for you and it won't cost you much. So you can usually find someone on Upwork to do it real cheap, and you may as well do that instead of going and doing it yourself. You can just get them to make it for you. That's usually a lot easier to do that. Then once you've got that done, now you're going to have a bunch of social profiles and a bunch of citations online with your information, and that's going to help Google to just index the fact that your website's actually out there and it's a real business. It's not just a landing page, like a lead gen landing page. It's not that relevant. Now from here, you can get links on relevant websites, both for location and for topics. So what I mean by that is backlink relevance is now a big thing. So you want to try and get backlinks that are relevant to what you are actually doing, not just any high authority backlink. So in this case, you would want to get backlinks from, let's say, Dallas, Texas, and you would want to get backlinks for law related items. The closer to family and divorce you could get, the better. And then that's going to help you actually rank for those things and make those backlinks more relevant. Now, you could go yourself and try and do this. So for instance, you could go to SEMrush, take one of your competitors or all of them, go into the competitor analysis, backlink analysis tool, and see where they're ranking and go through this list and find out some of their backlinks and try and get on the same websites. That's one way you could do it. So for instance, if we were to go down here, we go to, let's say, referring domains, view full report. And now what's going to happen is we'll see all the websites linking to them, and you could go through this list and try and get a link on all of these websites. So you can see they got Justia, they got Cornell, lawyerguide.com. This one is, seems like they lost that one. Now, not all of these are necessarily going to be good. You can see this one's only a 4 authority score, so that's not great. But you can see Justia 71, this one's 85, and it's an edu link, so that's a good sign. This one's 25, that's okay, but that's probably just a random directory. So you can go through the list, find out all the relevant ones, and then try and get your website listed there. And you could do this for all of your different competitors as well. Or what you can do is you could use a service like Authority Builders, who will do link insertions and guest posts. Or there's a couple other vendors you can use as well, like fatjoe.com. They're a decent one. And also qgp.com. I'm going to put my affiliate links to all these guys in the description below. If you want to use any of them and you want to support my channel, just go through that link. If not, just go straight to their websites, and you can buy links from these guys. Now, you need to know what you're buying if you're buying backlinks, because you can buy dodgy backlinks and it'll do you more harm than good. Now, typically speaking, if you buy from these vendors, they're typically good and you shouldn't have to worry about it. But you always want to make sure what you're actually buying. You need to be really careful. If you don't know what you're doing with backlinks, you can do more harm than good. So I just want to make it clear that you need to be careful. But the easier and faster way to do it is just to pay these guys. You'll pay anywhere from $60 to $300 a link, depending on what the link is. So for instance, if you go for niche edit, which means they're going to insert your link into a website in your niche. For instance, if you get a DA30 link, so a domain authority score, so the website's got a domain authority score of 30 plus, you'll pay about $131, and they will do all the work of outreaching to the website owners, getting your link in there, etc., and you just pay them the money and you don't worry about it. So that's a couple of options here. If you want to do it quicker and easier, just use these guys to do it for you, and that will be a lot faster for you. So that's basically it. And then from here, what would be the case is you would just do content and backlinks every month. And as you keep doing that, you start ranking for more and more keywords. And soon enough, you know, you're ranking for hundreds, if not thousands of keywords. You're showing up on page 1 for Dallas family lawyer or a main keyword like that, and you're getting a lot of traffic. So that is the overview of how I would approach SEO for a family lawyer in Dallas in this particular case. But this whole process would apply for wherever you are, whether you're in America, you're in Canada, Australia. It's the same process. You would go through this exact same thing, and that's how you would do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to post a comment below and I will actually answer all of them. Otherwise, if you'd like me to coach you on how to do SEO or Google ads for only $49 a month, go to learndominatemarketing.com. And if you'd like us to do the SEO for your family law firm, go to dominatemarketing.io and book a call with us there. I'll catch you on the next one.